People, welcome back to the Kicking It Dolo podcast, a podcast where we I'm not even finna bring back the old intro. But yeah, man, we had a heck of a weekend when it comes to football, bro. We had a whole bunch of college football games that were close. We had a whole bunch of NFL games that were close. Like literally only two games out of the games that's transpired so far where the team was actually blown out, maybe 14, 17 points like that. So a lot of close games. I'm gonna bring y'all a couple of games, three, four games from the NFL, two games possibly from college football, maybe even three. But yeah, man, like the intro says, man, y'all know what we do and y'all know how we do. So without further ado, let's get into the episode.
I can see the whole world sitting in my hand, amazing views. We finna break the rules, and we gon' make them too. I can't fall asleep, I gotta stand tall, that's what a leader do. Follow me, I'm leading you. Hey, we finna turn up, crank up the heat in here, they finna burn up. Told them I'm coming, I'm here, tell them they time up. I said it once, I'ma say it again, this will be my year. I ain't gon' show no fear, I know that I'm built to equip for what God want me to do. I'm number one, not the two, it don't know where I'ma lose.
But all right, man. So we back. And the first game I want to talk about is the Giants bouncing back, basically, being down 21 points, I believe, 20 or 21 points. Coming back from a deficit. Mac Jones was 26 to 37 for 321, two touchdowns, one interception. Saquon Barkley had 17 carries for 63 yards and one touchdown. He also injured his ankle and did not return. And Hyatt out of Tennessee had two receptions for 89 yards. Joshua Dobbs did his thing, managing the game, 21 to 31 for 228, one touchdown. James Conner, 23 receptions for 106 yards and a touchdown, and Zach Ertz leading the way receiving for the Arizona Cardinals, six receptions for 56 yards. So this game, I was keeping up with it. I didn't really too much get to watch the game per se, but I was keeping up with it on ESPN, basically looking at the little play-by-play and stuff like that. So what it seems to me, what happened was the Giants got off to a rough start early, like an extremely rough start. And like I said, they were down 21-0. Or no, they were down 28-7 in the third quarter, excuse me. And then, they just ripped off a furious comeback. They started the run game started, wasn't really working for the Cardinals as it was doing in the first half and beginning of the third quarter. Daniel Jones finally got going. Saquon finally got going. And if you watch the travesty, the monstrosity that they put up week one Sunday night game against the Dallas Cowboys, then you will understand why, the Giants bouncing back. Even though it is the Arizona Cardinals, a team that's tanking, who is getting rid of a lot of their pieces. And, Kyler Murray's also out for the season. Trying to get that number one overall pick, possibly getting Caleb Williams. Now, depending on, I know it was a thing where his dad said he shouldn't go to the Cardinals. Like, if they get the number one pick, he shouldn't really, go there because of the situation. And a lot of times when you see number one overall picks or number two overall picks, usually the first quarterback taken in the draft is going to a not an ideal position, not an ideal situation, and not a team that's really, the best team. It's a reason why they got the number one overall pick. They didn't really play the best in the season. They might have only won a handful of games, maybe two, maybe three games, or possibly only one games. There have been seasons where teams haven't won any games. So with that being said, it's really going to be interesting to see if the Cardinals do have the number one overall pick and what Caleb Williams goes on to do throughout the duration of the rest of the collegiate season. Will he come out? Will he stay another season at USC? It's just going to be real interesting to see how that plays out. But the Giants really bouncing back, getting back in the win column. Not the best win given the type of team that they faced. Not really the best team. Like I said, they got rid of all their pieces. So it was really hard to see them, putting up the game that they put up. But nonetheless, the Giants end up coming out with a victory, kicking the game-winning field goal with about 19 seconds left. Saquon Barkley, like I said, injured his ankle, did not return. It's going to be real interesting to see what, first of all, the severity of the ankle injury. Is it a sprain? Which is probably most likely a sprain. What grade sprain it is. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. Hopefully Saquon gets well soon. One of my favorite players in the league and somebody I really, really enjoy watching and am rooting for. The next game we're going to get into about the NFL is the Seahawks winning the thriller in overtime versus the Lions. A lot of people had high stock on the Lions, given the fact that they did beat the Chiefs last week in the opening game of the season, Thursday night game. But when you run into a team such as the Seahawks, and the Seahawks are not the best team in their division. A lot of people are, if you had to choose who's the best team in that division, you would say the San Francisco 49ers. I believe a majority of people would say that, unless you're like a Seahawks fan or something like that. But they are a very solid team. The defense is not the best. They don't have too many stars on offense, but they do have good players. The only star I can really think about off the top of my head is possibly DK Metcalf. Now, Kenneth Walker III out of Michigan State is somebody that I really like, a really good young running back, a hard runner, a power runner with a little bit of speed to him too. And, it was somebody, when he came out the draft, I really hoped that my Buffalo Bills would have picked him up, but he fell to Seattle in a good situation. Geno Smith is doing his thing, showing why early in his career he was drafted as high as he was drafted. Yeah, he had some ups and downs, but he's the epitome of a late bloomer. Some people don't really come out the gate swinging per se when they first get to the NFL, as opposed to college. We all know the type of player. If you follow Geno Smith in college, what type of player he was at West Virginia. Very, very high, very, very skilled player. Good thrower of the football, could make deep throws and stuff like that. In the NFL, he's more of a game manager, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback or he doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't be elite. Everybody can't be elite. That's what makes the elite quarterbacks the elite quarterbacks. Everybody can't be a Joe Burrow or Pat Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can't be up to that standard. And it's okay. Sometimes you just need a decent game manager, a guy that does not turn over the football, makes timely throws, and Geno Smith seems to be that guy. Fits Pete Carroll's system real well. You know what I'm saying? Really more of a run-heavy offense, but, also need to make timely throws, and he can also scramble out the pocket. He has some qualities similar to Russell Wilson. Now, I'm not saying he is Russell Wilson by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, Geno Smith is, he has some stuff where, that was similar to Russell Wilson, and he doesn't extend the play as much. I believe he sits in the pocket a little bit more than Russell Wilson does. But like I said, he's a good player, a nice game manager, and somebody that the Seahawks need. He fits their system really well, really, really well. But yeah, this was a back and forth game. Geno Smith, he went 32 of 41 for 328, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker III, 17 carries, 43 yards, 2 touchdowns. Metcalf led the way as far as receiving yards go, 6 receptions for 75 yards. Tyler Lockett, reliable, man, reliable. He had 8 receptions for 59 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jared Goff, he didn't have a bad game either. He went 28 of 35 for 323. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. David Montgomery, 16 carries for 67 yards, 1 touchdown. Amore St. Brown, 6 receptions, 102 yards. Josh Reynolds, 5 receptions for 66 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, the Lions, even though they only lost by 6, the turnovers, man. The turnovers really, really did not help their cause and allow Seattle to get back in the game. At the beginning of the game, like I said, I was keeping up with it, and I went back and actually watched the highlights of this game. The Lions had a chance to really put the Seahawks away. Not the Eagles, but Seahawks away, excuse me. They really had a chance, but David Montgomery and St. Brown both fumbled the ball, which was end up being picked up by the Seahawks. And also, I was going to say Josh Goff, but Jared Goff, basically, with the interception he threw that was intercepted by Trey Brown, which was a pick 6, really, really made it hard for the Lions to come back. They were down 10 points, I believe, 31-21 with like 8 minutes left. And then, Jared Goff, he went down there and led them on a touchdown drive. They went, stopped the Seahawks, got the ball back, and, with the kick, the game time field goal as expired. But Tyler Lockett in that overtime, and you know what I'm saying? I don't know what it is. It doesn't seem like who's the quarterback for the Seahawks, but Tyler Lockett is always a good target. DK Metcalf, yes, he is a big body receiver, a guy that can, make some great catches and, a real good ran soul threat. But Tyler Lockett, bro, he is just like the ultimate professional. Now, I'm not saying he's better than DK. Don't get me wrong now. I am hyping up Tyler Lockett, and I don't really need to hype up Tyler Lockett for those of you who have been keeping up with the NFL and when Russell Wilson was there and stuff like that. You already know Tyler Lockett made a lot of the big plays. He caught a touchdown in overtime to send them to the Super Bowl. I believe that was the year they faced the Patriots. It was either the year they faced the Patriots or the Broncos. My memory's kind of foggy right now. But yeah, man, Tyler Lockett, we already know he's all reliable. And Jared Goff, man, the Lions are looking pretty good. Now we already know last season they could put up points with the best of them, having the number one ranked offense. I think throughout the first maybe 4 or 5 weeks of the season, but they were also dead last in defense. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson, somebody that they picked up from the Eagles in the offseason, trying to bolster their defense and stuff like that. You would think that, maybe the Lions are maybe a piece or two away on defense from actually having a pretty good defense to avoid games like this. Because when you have a game like this, it's really hard. It can come back to bite you towards the end of the season, especially when you're fighting for a playoff position, given the fact of maybe it's like a possible wild card spot versus another team with a similar record. And they might look at common opponents and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff like this plays a factor into, into possible postseason success. And given the fact that the NFC North is kind of up for grabs, yeah, the Packers are looking good, but they lost to the Atlanta Falcons. Minnesota has yet to win a game, and the Bears are being the Bears. Now they did, put up a good fight against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They only lost by 10, but it's the Bears, man. It's the Bears. It's been a while since they were good. So when teams are close together like that within the division, you need to pull out games like this to try and help separate yourself. And this could ultimately, play a role in the seeding as well. Would it be a third seed? Could they win a division and get a top 4 seed? So the Lions need to bolster their defense. It was a good game by both teams. Seattle just did what they needed to do. They did not turn over the ball at all, ultimately helping them come back and win. But also being up 10, they should have, possibly try and get another turnover. Possibly, you know what I'm saying? I believe they were trying to do like the bend don't break method, where they just keep everything in front of them and stuff like that. But yeah, man, you gotta get them boys out the field, especially if you up 10. And it's scary for both teams. The Seahawks will take the win, and the Lions it shouldn't hurt as much, given the fact that they were in the game and they had a chance to put the game away. But nah, man. It's gonna be we're gonna see how both teams play out over the course of the NFL season. Another game, 2 more NFL games I'm gonna talk about. This one, the Commanders come back from an 18-point deficit and hold off the Broncos 35-33. Sam Howell 27-39 for 299, 2 touchdowns. Brian Robertson Jr. 18 carries for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. Terry McLaurin 5 receptions, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. Russell Wilson 18 of 32, 308, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also led the Broncos in rushing, 6 carries for 56 yards. Mims Jr. on his Randy Moss-ish, 2 receptions for 113 yards and 1 touchdown. Now, this game was real interesting as well. The Broncos, I believe, were up 21-3. I want to say they were up 21-3 in the third quarter, and then it's just like the Commanders steamrolled back into the game to go up 28-24. Yeah, they went up 35-24, excuse me. But Russell being Russell, you know what I'm saying? They got him a late field goal, made it an 8-point game. And then they threw a Hail Mary as time expired, caught by Brandon Johnson, a 50-yard Hail Mary with no time left to make it 35-33. Now, they went for the 2-point conversion, ultimately did not end up getting it. And another heartbreaking loss for the Broncos. And this has been a theme for them. They have not really won close games like that since Russell Wilson has taken over the helms as quarterback. I know Sean Payton is really, really upset given the fact that he's trying to undo everything that was done last season and the terrible season that the Broncos had last season and trying to bring more of a winning mentality towards the team, such as he did with the Saints. Now, it's going to be harder because, one, you don't have Drew Brees at quarterback. And that, to me, I'm not going to say was a big part of Payton's success. Not to say that he isn't a good coach, but when you have somebody the caliber of Drew Brees, it makes your job a lot easier. It makes the job of the defense a lot easier because we can have sustained drives. We can put up points. Drew Brees he had seasons, and he had certain games where he turned over the ball a little bit more than usual, but for the most part, you can pretty much trust Drew Brees when the chips are pushed to the edge of the table to really come up clutch. A lot of times where they did not make the playoffs, it wasn't even due to their fault. It was a call that they should have got. And they are the reason why pass interference is reviewable. You have to think about it. Like, what, maybe 3-4 seasons ago, pass interference was not a call that was reviewable. But due to the fact that the Saints lost 2 possible trips to the Super Bowl based on a pass interference that should have been called, they went back and started reviewing it and threw that in the book. So they kind of changed the game a little bit, not in the best way possible, but they changed the game a little bit. But Sean Payton has had a lot of success. Former Super Bowl champion. Russell Wilson is a Super Bowl champion in his own right. But I don't know, man. At the beginning of the season, Sean Payton said basically Russell Wilson is more of trying to be a media personality as far as like a star versus a football player. And that's kind of hard. I understand building your brand and, want to expand your brand and stuff like that. But when it comes to football should just be your main focus. So, it's going to be real. What I'm looking for is, and what I'm going to look for as the season goes on is, are they going to make a quarterback change if Russell Wilson they keep having games like this where they be so close or they have the lead in the game and the other teams just come back? You know what I'm saying? It's going to be real interesting to see if Sean Payton makes a quarterback change and they get somebody else. I can't really think of the other quarterbacks that they have on their roster at this present point in time. Now, I know Russell Wilson is the best option that they have, but I don't know, man. I don't know. It's gonna be real interesting to see Sam Howell. I think he got to start the last game of the regular season last year for the Washington Commanders. So I believe going into this season, they really like what they saw last season. Then they got something to do. Then they got something good with him. We're gonna pay attention to him and see what his what's the word I'm looking for? How his progression goes and how he goes about the season. Does he improve? Does he regress? Does he kind of stay even keeled, like middle of the pack? But it's gonna be real interesting to see what they do at quarterback. Now, my friend Juwan, he raves about the coach, and Ron Rivera is a heck of an NFL coach. I really like what he did, the job he did while he was with Carolina. And the Commanders, for the most part, they're not the best put together team as far as like they don't have a lot of star power. But they are, really well coached. So, shout out to the Commanders. They're 2-0 right now. I think they're tied. I believe 3 teams in the NFC East are 2-0. The Cowboys are 2-0. The Commanders are 2-0. And it's another team in there and the Eagles are 2-0. So, who knows? We already know who we expect to come out of there. The Eagles, of course, but they've been winning pretty ugly. The Cowboys, they've been having some pretty decisive games. I think they won both games by at least 20 points. So, hey, man, the NFC East is up for grabs again this season so far through 2 games. And I'm going to go to the last NFL game. I was not going to talk about this game, given the fact that there were so many good games, like I said at the beginning. Only 2 games were a blowout. The Raiders game was a blowout. Bills and Raiders. I'm really glad to see my boy Josh Allen step back up, going 11-11 in his first 11 passes, not turning the ball over at all. I think some home cooking really did the best for them. And like I said, the Cowboys game might be the only other game that I can think about where it was like a 20-point deficit. Cowboys ended up beating the Jets 10-30. It was going to be really hard for the Jets to recreate what they did last week. Also, Dak Prescott did not give away the ball like that. CeeDee Lamb was doing his thing. Tony Pollard got a couple of touchdowns in. You know what I'm saying? They look like a real good team throughout the first 2 games.
I'm going to say this now. Throughout the first 2 games. So, Cowboys Nation, don't be, we going to make the Super Bowl. Don't do that.
Don't do that. And I know it's not all Cowboys fans. I know some objective Cowboy fans. I know that's hard to fathom, but, I know some objective Cowboy fans. But we're going to talk about the Ravens and the Bengals. Ravens end up winning the game 27-24. Lamar Jackson, 24 of 33 for 237, 2 touchdowns. Gus Edwards, 10 carries for 62 yards, 1 touchdown. Aguilar had 5 receptions for 63 yards and a touchdown. Joe Burrow didn't have the best game in the first half. Kind of came around in the second half. 27 to 41, 222, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Joe Mixon, 13 carries for 59 yards. And T. Higgins, 8 receptions for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was a very hard game for the Bengals to start off. I believe they only had 35 yards of total offense throughout the first half, if I'm not mistaken. And the score was only, 13-7 going into halftime. They scored the only touchdown of the first half on a 81. It was either 81, 80, 87 yard punt return for a touchdown that really got the life going, got the juices flowing. Joe Burrow, he's, you know what I'm saying, in the first half of the game, he was really struggling. And the calf injury was bothering him. Now, the reason why I decided to cover this game was because, you know what I'm saying, I was going through and I was looking at stuff, looking at the different games, just looking at stats, looking at some news and stuff from the games. But it seems Joe Burrow tweaked his calf injury. So, Bengals fans, I don't know what's going on. They don't know the severity of the injury yet. I'm pretty sure they're going to try and find out within the next couple of days. I think it's just going to take it day by day. But, yeah, man, 0-2 for the second time in 2 seasons. Now, like I said, well, not like I said, but, you know, last season, you know, the Bengals started 0-2 and ended up being an AFC Championship game. But also last season, Joe Burrow wasn't dealing with a nagging calf injury as well, which kept him out of the preseason and also affected him in the second game of the season as well. He was pretty much healthy throughout the duration of last season, besides training camp. So now going forward, we're going to see, you know, one, how does Joe Burrow do? You know what I'm saying? How's the calf? I'm pretty sure he's going to be limited in practice this week because I'm pretty sure he's going to want to go next week when they play. But it might be a rough season. Might be a rough season if Joe Burrow cannot stay healthy. Lamar Jackson doing his thing, man, doing his thing. Basically just being Lamar Jackson. Not turning the ball over like that. I don't believe he's had an interception or a fumble lost or a fumble at all throughout the first 2 games of the season. It's just going to be, can he stay healthy? That's what it's going to be. Can he stay healthy? But hopefully Joe Burrow, hopefully it's nothing that keeps him out for an extended period of time. Hopefully maybe they decide to rest him again. But it's going to be hard because you're down 0-2 already. And the Browns and Steelers play tonight, so the Browns have the chance to go 2-up, 2-0 on their season. And like I said, you've already lost a divisional game to the Ravens. So it's going to be real, interesting to see. And I know I use interesting a lot because stuff is really interesting to me. And this is what I do and this is what I love. It's one of my favorite words, interesting. Get over it. But yeah, intriguing. I'll use that, a synonym or whatever. But intriguing to see how the rest of the season plays out for both teams. Can Lamar stay healthy throughout the duration of the season? We already know the reason why it was so hard for him to get the money that he wanted was because the last 2 seasons the Ravens have made the playoffs, but Lamar Jackson has been injured. He's put him in position to where, you know what I'm saying, Tyler Huntley can come in and do his thing and, just ride the ship till he come back. But, he doesn't usually play the playoff games. So I understand last season, given the fact that it was a contract year and you don't want to hurt yourself. You want to be out there for your fellows, but you don't want to hurt yourself and possibly, mess up your money. You got family to feed. You got yourself to feed. You know what I'm saying? You have a lifestyle to maintain as well. So money is a big factor. Now, money is probably the only factor for some players, but some players love the game at football as well. So, just trying to find the fine line of it because, they've been doing it for free for so long, but the amount of time that they put in, what they put their bodies through, the time that they spend away from their families trying to get, ready for games in the season and put themselves in the best position to ultimately come out with a Super Bowl, which is the goal of every NFL team, but we're going to say half the league is trying to win the Super Bowl. The other half of the league is possibly just trying to get better for the regular season, for the next season and possibly in the future. And then you have maybe a small portion of the league that's just trying to tank and get the highest draft pick. So that being done with the NFL, like I said, a bunch of great games. Now we're going to talk about 2 college games. One, the game, a 12 o'clock game. Florida State survives Boston College red bandana game. Now, it was real interesting for me. There goes that word again. But it was real nice to see and real cool for me to see, how much the red bandana game means to Boston College. Basically, it's a game in which they honor a guy, Wells. I don't know his whole name, but a guy, he was wearing a red bandana, saved a lot of people. Ended up losing his leg tragically in 9/11. So they really, try and rally around. It's the kind of like, it's their equivalent to like Penn State's whiteout game, stuff like that. So, but they're actually honoring, a fallen person, a fallen brother, a fallen citizen, a guy who gave it all. And, ultimately I believe he ended up losing his life tragically. So, RIP, rest in peace. But, someone who is, you have to excuse me, I live by the highway, so you might hear, some cars and stuff. But Boston College, man, they fought hard. They fought tooth and nail. Florida State, they ended up dropping one. They was the number 3 team in the country, but now they're the number 4 team. But Jordan Travis, he went 15 to 24 for 212 and 2 touchdowns. Hill, he had 5 carries for 42 yards. And Wilson, their big body 6'7" receiver, transferred from Arizona, I believe, 4 receptions for 105 yards. Now, Castaноlis, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, the starting quarterback for Boston College, he went 20 of 33 for 305, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 16 carries as well for 95 yards and 1 touchdown, led the team in passing and rushing. And Bond, he had 3 receptions for 80 yards and 1 touchdown. But Mike Tomlin's son, I didn't really get his first name, but Mike Tomlin's son, he was making some big plays towards the end as well, man, and it was real cool to see the fight from Boston College. Everybody had their red bandanas, wearing it their various ways, and they were just really, really into the game. Florida State, there was a point in time right before the half, Jordan Travis, he got hit hard. He fell down hard going on his left side of the body, trying to extend the play in which he probably should have ran out of bounds. But being a quarterback and seeing the type of game that was transpiring, he wanted to, basically try and put Boston College away. But yeah, they ultimately end up going up 31 to 10, and then Boston College just fighting. They didn't come up with the win. They're 1-3 on the season, I believe. Florida State moves to 3-0, but it was just the type of fight, and these are losses, in my opinion, in which you can learn a lot from. Some wins you don't learn a lot from, but in losses you learn a lot. And I wouldn't say it's a good loss, because no team wants to lose, especially when you're really trying hard. And like I said, the significance of the red bandana game. But it's a game where you took a top 5 team in the country and you gave them all they could handle. You went toe to toe with them. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you were down 21 and you fought back. I like how the team rallies around their quarterback. I really like to see, teams like that, even though the fans might not believe, the players believe, the coaching staff believe. And it possibly could have been a tie game going into overtime. They just had a failed 2-point conversion. But Boston College, hats off to y'all, man. Y'all really played y'all behinds off. Florida State moves on. They survived. Now, to the college football game of the weekend. Started around roughly 10 p.m., 10:20 Eastern Standard Time, and did not end until 2:23 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And a lot of people on Facebook and various social medias was like, boy, if you didn't stay up and watch that Colorado State game, I don't know what you did. And I agree with them, because this might have been the game of the year. Colorado survives. Colorado survives Colorado State. 43-35. Shedeur Sanders, 38 of 47 for 348, 4 touchdowns, threw his first pick. Only one, but he threw his first pick. Dylan Edwards, 10 carries for 57 yards. Xavier Weaver, again, balling out, having a great game, leaving the Buffaloes in receiving, 9 receptions for 98 yards and a touchdown. And yeah, also Shiloh Sanders. Shiloh, Deion's other son. Well, to Deion, he got 3 sons on the team, because he also considers Travis Hunter his son as well. We're gonna get we're gonna talk about what happened to him a little bit later. But he got it going. He got it popping. He got it cracking. You know what I'm saying? With the interception return for a touchdown, looking just like his dad. You know what I'm saying? It's real cool to see his two sons, brothers. You know what I'm saying? It's real good to see it. Real good to see them just having fun with their dad. You know what I'm saying? They're also playing at a high level, playing at the highest level, college can offer, but also having fun and having success with their father. That's what it's all about, man. The quarterback for Colorado State, Fowler Nicolosi, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He went 34-47 for 367, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The running back Johnson, 15 carries for 54 yards. And Horton was just a beast. Like, Colorado could not stop him. 16 receptions, 133 yards, and 1 touchdown. Back and forth game. There was a point in time where actually Colorado, I believe they had the lead going into halftime 21-14, and they also had the game. They also could have won the game. Colorado had to go down and score a touchdown. They were up 28-35, I believe, and Colorado got the ball on the 2-yard line. Travis Hunter ended up leaving the game. He took a big hit, very, very unnecessary hit in the first half. A lot of people are screaming it was a dirty play, and I could understand that, but I'm going to give y'all a different perspective on this. Now, we already know we be seeing ESPN, do their things where they see players basically talk before the game and stuff like that. And Travis Hunter, he was running his mouth, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that this warranted the hit and, it was a good call for the hit. The hit should have never took place. He was already out of bounds. The play was basically over. Nothing excuses that. But me being a competitor and a guy who's played sports before, I didn't play in high school or anything like that, but I played sports before. And, when you have somebody mouthing off on the other team, you want to show them. And I believe that was Colorado State's way of showing them, like, you ain't finna it ain't finna be easy. We coming, you know what I'm saying? We're going to hit y'all hard. We're going to put a helmet to y'all and make y'all feel this. You know what I'm saying? Pause. But we going to make y'all feel us. You know what I'm saying? This ain't going to be no easy game. This ain't no game where y'all just going to come over here and just steamroll us. You know what I'm saying? How y'all was kind of doing, you know what I'm saying, everybody else. Well, no, the first week of the season, they didn't really steamroll TCU. You could kind of say they steamrolled. They kind of steamrolled Nebraska. They won by 22. So, yeah, you could say they steamrolled them. But y'all going to have to earn this win, and they did, man. But it was basically, to me, it was the game of the weekend, and it was possibly, depending on what happens throughout the season. It's real early. It's only been 3 weeks in the college football season. Technically 4, because it's a thing called week 0 where only a few teams play. So technically, some teams have played 4 games already. Some teams have played 3. But throughout the duration of the college season, there's a lot more good games that's meant to be played. But so far, this is game of the year for me. Watched every little bit of the game, even when I was laying down in the bed, dozing off a little bit. As soon as during the commercials, I doze off. As soon as I hear the game come, jumping right back up. I got to pay attention. I got to see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I might have took a small nap during probably halftime. That was it. And this game caused me to stay up 24 hours, man. You know what I'm saying? So y'all make sure y'all slash the like button. Make sure y'all watch the video. Make sure y'all comment and subscribe, because I've been losing a lot of sleep covering, you know what I'm saying, trying to get the information to y'all, man. And I love it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not complaining about it whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? And though the views are not the best right now, I'm still going to continue to do it, because I know one day it's going to pay off. But this is also something I love. This is something I've been doing since a kid. Has been watching sports. So why not, you know what I'm saying, do it for a career? So I've been doing this. I've been watching sports since I was like 3, 4 years old, 5 years old. So you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I put a lot of time into it. And like I said, I end up staying up 24 hours. Like, I could not stay awake to watch, to really, cover the Sunday night game, the Dolphins and the Patriots. I kept going to sleep. Like, I go to sleep for a while. Like, I possibly was snoring, you know what I'm saying? I was with my homeboy Juan trying to watch the game, but I kept dozing off, bro, because I had been up for like 28 hours already. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to bring y'all some information and cover it all and bring y'all what y'all want to see. But next week, well, not next week, but this Saturday is a big test. Big test for Colorado, possibly their biggest game of the season thus far. They play my Oregon Ducks, which are also 3-0. And a battle of maybe, you know what I'm saying, 2 of the top 3 teams in the, 2 of the top 4 teams in the Pac-12 in this, send-off season. Washington is still doing their thing, and USC is also still doing their thing as well. And Colorado is going to play Oregon, and then they turn around and play USC. So these next 2 weeks, we're going to see what Coach Prime is made of. We're going to see what Shadur is made of. We're going to see Travis Hunter. He's possibly going to be out for the next couple of weeks. So who's going to step up in his place? As far as we already know, Xavier Weaver is going to be a top target on offense. We know who's going to step up for them on offense. But who's going to step up for them on defense? Because Travis, I believe, plays on the other side. I believe Shiloh plays safety, if I'm not mistaken. He could be a cornerback, but I think Shiloh, Deion's older son, might be his oldest son, if I'm not mistaken. But that's neither here nor there. It's going to be real interesting to see who steps up on the defensive side of the ball, because Travis Hunter, though he's not the strongest guy, he's a little bit wiry, but he's a dog, though. As Deion alluded to, he's a dog, and you need dogs on your team. You need leaders and dogs on your team, like Coach Prime has said. So they play Saturday in Eugene. The tip-off is 3:30 ABC. I'm going to be glued to that game, so if you try and hit me up and you don't hear from me on Saturday around anywhere from 3:30 to 6:30, I am watching that game. Don't hit me up. Don't text me. Don't call me. None of that. I am glued to that game. And a lot of people say we have our own teams, but we root for Deion for the culture. Well, this week I'm going against the culture. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? I'm not praying on his downfall, nothing like that. I just want my college team to win. It's been a minute since Oregon has been one of the premier teams in college football, especially since they implemented the college football playoff. I believe in the inaugural season we made the championship game, but Ohio State and Zeke just ran all over us. You know, I know it was a sour taste for Marcus Mariota to go out on a limb like that, but I just want to see Oregon return to the team that they were, man. The team that they were, the perennial college football championship game team. You know what I'm saying? It just maybe 3-4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, Oregon was one of those teams where you be like, all right, they got a real legitimate shot of running the table and going to the college football playoffs. Possibly, you know what I'm saying, the national championship game. And I just want to see my team return to that. Now, if Colorado ends up winning, will I be a little upset? Possibly. But at the same time, it's black excellence. And excellence as a whole, not even just, just to take the race part out of it. As a father doing big things with his son, and whether you're black, white, Latino, African, Asian, European, orange, purple, blue, green. You know what I'm saying? It really don't matter, bro. You know what I'm saying? When you see a father having fun with his sons, man. So, like I said, we're going to see how it goes. Y'all know who I'm rooting for. Oregon, of course. Go Ducks. You already know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, this has been episode 39 of the Kicking It Dolo podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. And on Spotify, make sure you share, download the episodes. We have polls at the end of every episode, so if you scroll down to the bottom, there are polls and questions that you could take part of. Give me some feedback, man. Let me know what y'all think. I really want to interact with my fans. Of course, you know what I'm saying? If y'all don't want to, it's cool. But you know what I'm saying? Talk to a brother, man. Let y'all know what y'all think, especially if you really into sports, man. But like I said, this has been episode 39. Y'all know what we do, and y'all know how we do. So without further ado, I'll catch y'all next time, man. Peace.
ISO. Let's get it. Whoa.